Capricorn, it's Steph at Finding You Tarot. I hope you're well. I'm just going to start off this video by thanking everybody who has subscribed in the last couple of weeks or liked or watched one of my videos. Engagement has gone up so much and I'm so grateful. So thank you. It's really helping to grow the channel and I couldn't be more grateful. So anyway, today I'm recording on the 24th of March and there is a full moon in Libra. I'm in the UK, so very early tomorrow morning. So depending on where you're watching in the world, you either have the full moon either today or tomorrow. This full moon, the astrology types on here who know a lot more about it than I do tell us that for Capricorn this is very centered around our relationships, and that can be our relationships with other people, romantic, professional, friendships, but also can be our relationship with our environment, can be our relationship with the stuff that we own. But first and foremost, it is about ourselves. You know, the most important relationship you're ever going to have is the one that you have with yourself. And are you showing up as the friend that you want to be for yourself? So I think there's a real message here about that, but also we'll see what the cards say, but in the pre-shuffle I was very much thinking this is about stuff and perhaps decluttering, getting rid of what doesn't serve, what's not working for you, what's not going to allow you to fulfill your potential for your highest good. So without further ado, let's crack on. There were no jumpers in the pre-shuffle in the oracle cards, but I did have two jumpers in the tarot, and I'm using the traditional Rider-Waite deck today, and they were the Lovers, so card of Gemini, and also and the Two of Cups. So make of that what you will, but we'll see if they show up in the main reading. But first up, I've got 4 oracle decks. I'm very excited. I got a new deck. It came last night, so I don't know it, but it's rather lovely. It's called the Human Spirit Oracle, and I saw there was a reader on here who was using it, and I thought it was a really lovely, interesting deck. But I don't really understand the symbolism of it. But what I will do is draw a card on it and just read intuitively. I'm not going to look in the book. It feels actually as though I need to make my own mind up about what these cards mean, rather than, taking the pure meaning from the author. But look, isn't that nice? It's got sort of gilded edging and it's sort of all shiny, and I'm not one for shiny things normally, but I love the way that when you're shuffling these, you get the sort of hit of shiny green on the sides. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now and just get on with the reading. So I seem to have decided I am going to take a card from this deck first. I've also decided I probably won't speak on it straight away because as I say, I don't know the pure meanings of the cards in this deck. So I want to see what else comes out and then use it in that context. But the first card that's come out is Midas Touch. So King Midas, everything he touched turned to gold, but ultimately that wasn't really great for him, because if he touched a person that he loved, they turned to gold and they were no longer a person, they were a statue. I think, if I'm remembering it correctly. So the Midas touch is a bit of a double-edged sword. So it's really about, I think, understanding where you want to use that superpower. But I was going to shut up about using that, but we'll about that card for the moment. I am going to take one from the Sacred Destiny Oracle as well. I've suddenly gone Oracle crazy in the last couple of months. This one. Solitude. You could have been in a space of solitude, but this is very healing, Capricorn. In fact, I'm very drawn here to the fact there is a full moon here. So it could be that in this run up, you have wanted to withdraw a bit. My energy has been really all over the shop, actually. I have been, this weekend, I have pulled back a lot, my energy. Couldn't sleep at all on Friday night. Thursday night into Friday. And I felt very unsettled, and my heart hammering through chest and stuff. So if you're having those sort of physical sort of manifestations, it could well be something to do with the full moon, because it is a full moon eclipse. And I'm also being told here, look, that looks like a full moon too. So you're being drawn immediately to the importance of this full moon for you. Let me take the wisdom of the oracle. Yeah, okay, why not? What have we got for that? Yin. Okay, so this is about tapping into the more feminine energies, and it's also the ultimate feminine energy. The ultimate feminine energy of receiving. King Midas ended up alone. We have the card of solitude here, and then we have a reminder about the feminine energy of receiving. So the first message I'm getting here is about you, perhaps. Are you trying to do it all alone? Are you in that space of independence? I think last week we were talking about this as well. There was something about the Nine of Pentacles figured quite heavily last week about this sort of need to do everything alone, but actually that's not necessarily always the best way, and that connection is often a very if you're connected with the right people, then connection is extremely powerful, and it is a very powerful force in the world. And of course, with Midas touching that person, then they turn to gold, and then they are essentially no longer a person, but a statue, and then lost to him, apart from in a material sense. He is creating that barrier. So I wonder where you're creating a barrier. I want to say aloneness is not a bad thing, but loneliness is a bad thing. That kind of aloneness is that need to sort of recharge, to center oneself, to work with oneself. But loneliness is it's a longing. It's a kind of I want access to things and people, and I don't have it. Aloneness is not the same thing. So this solitude card, I'm getting two sort of conflicting messages on it. So I wonder if there's whether you've tried to convince yourself that you're happy in your aloneness, but actually what you're experiencing is loneliness. Actually, just have a look at the sacred creators. Find your sacred flow. So if it's asking you to find it, then you're probably not experiencing it in this moment. So if you're feeling this sense of dissatisfaction, Spirit's asking you to look within at what is going to genuinely make you happy. You know, whether you're calling in a state of being like aloneness out of fear, out of a need to self-protect, but that might not be the right state for you. You might be. I just heard using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. You know that you're making a big wholesale decision about your life to keep the walls up and to keep people at a distance. It's like, with Midas, nobody could go near him. No one could go near him, because if they did and he reached out, then that's it. They're a goner. So you might be protecting yourself, but you're not living a life. You're not living a meaningful and fulfilled existence. You're living a sort of half existence. Okay, let's crack into the tarot and see what the tarot has for us. This feels like quite a specific reading. Okay, so nostalgia, the past, the Six of Cups. Interestingly, I turned the cards over when I first got up this morning, and this card was quite prominent. In the Six of Cups, I mean, it's a sweet card because he's hit. This boy is handing over some flowers in the cup to that girl, but they're cup flowers, so they will die. But also, he's much bigger than her, so there is a sense. I always look at this card and I think there's a bit of a leading on energy here. That he's kind of led her a bit of a merry dance, and she's adoring, and so I wonder if there's something here about you having kind of put your eggs in a basket, and it's not delivered what you wanted. I mean, I'm trying to steer away from this being just about relationships, because I think there are a lot of relationship readers on YouTube, and so I don't want to get. But equally, I'm being reminded that the two cards that fell out in the pre-shuffle were the Two of Cups and the Lovers. Now, which are both about choices, but also, this full moon is about your relationships as well. So I feel like, if there is this need to self-protect that has perhaps gone a little bit further than has spilled over into creating a state of loneliness. Because I'm being drawn up to this, really hard to see it here, but there's a figure here in this card, and he's a guard. So he is guarding this. And so I feel like there is something here about barriers and obstacles. It's like, no, you can come this far and you can come no further. And that feels like a reaction to something that has happened in the past. Now, of course, we will always define our behaviours in terms of what has happened to us in the past, and we learn our lessons. This feels like a lesson that we have learned too well, almost. Yeah, a lesson that has been learned too well, where there's been an over-promising and under-delivering here, which has probably led to some sort of deep disappointment that you perhaps carried through life for a long time. Time is what it is. It's something that we've created to make sense of the world, but it is an energy that has been carried for a long time. I'm getting sadness from this card. I don't always get sadness, but I'm getting a sadness from this card, that there is a looking back and saying, I have had to become this because of this. And I think what Spirit wants you to know is you do not have to stay in that state. You do not have to stay in that place. You do not have to cut yourself off. There is a choice here. And what's interesting in this card is this is about possibilities. He is looking at the globe. He's not actually doing anything at this point, but he is looking at the globe. But he has let go of the wand that is fixed. That's behind him now. It's fixed. It's the past. And actually, he's picked up the wand that he can carry with him. So I think this is about leaving behind what you can leave behind. I think we get quite. If we've learned our lessons, we get frightened of repeating mistakes. And when you try not to repeat a mistake, you kind of swing completely the other way. So it's like, I was extremely vulnerable with this person. I was extremely naive about this job. So then you become extremely bulletproof about your boundaries in all future relationships, or you become incredibly cynical about every job offer that you have. There is this kind of, the pendulum goes from one way right over to the other end, and there's no in between, except the in between is actually where the joy is. It is about having learned your lessons, but still allowing yourself to remain open to the possibilities and the opportunities that come toward you. So I'm just going to have some coffee before it goes cold. Let's get the rest of the cards out here. I think there's something here that you kind of want to make a choice to drop that baggage, to... That's hard. This is hard. Those who have watched previous readings will know I don't always see this card as the liar, cheater, stealer, because a lot of readers just go liar, cheater, stealer, da 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 da. But in this context, and with the way the reading has gone, this feels like this is someone has stolen your self-respect. Your response to that has been to cut yourself off. I always look at this card as well, and this is an interesting one because it slightly ties in with the Heaven and Earth tarot and the way that is structured. But when I look at this card, and it is really, really jumping out at me here, is that the way that he's actually holding those swords, one misstep and he's going to cut his own head off with them, or his fingers or something, and there's going to be some sort of consequence. So it could, in the Heaven and Earth tarot, the Queen of Swords is holding the sword up in one hand, and in the other hand she has the head of the Seven of Swords. So the character in the Seven of Swords. So there is a sort of a bit of a link I'm making there. I feel as though you might not have had your justice here in this situation, and so therefore you're almost taking on more responsibility for it than is fair to you. I wonder if there is a bit of a kind of, I should have known, it's my fault, we can punish ourselves, but it changes nothing apart from it makes the future and the present much more difficult. Yeah, because the two of swords that's left here is being is kind of jumping up at me. So you're kind of keeping yourself stuck and trapped and barriered up here, in response to something that I think you're kind of thinking, I should have known, I should have, and I hate the word should. It's a terrible word. It's a punishment word. It's a word we use to give ourselves a hard time. So in addition to whatever this was, whatever pain this has caused, now you're basically heaping it on yourself, and you're in this state of kind of wanting to move forward, but you can't, because underneath all of this is a pain and more importantly a self-punishment, an ongoing self-punishment that you may not even, it may be subconscious now. But I think what's going on here is you're being asked very strongly here to let this go, so actually you can allow a flow of energy in that is going to give you the opportunity to receive, and in a way that you couldn't from whatever this was. Okay, what was this? What was this, Spirit? What was this for Capricorn? This is not a bad card, but it's a very static card. In the context of this 7, I wonder if this is, this was over promising and under delivering, or under promising, over promising and not delivering at all. It's very static. As I say, the Knight of Pentacles, he's a reliable knight, but he's not moving very fast. And I wonder, combined here with this Seven of Swords, whether there was just an endless, oh yes, it'll be, you know, next week or next month or next year, and then this can happen, and then it, you know, and so there feels like there's a really big disappointment around it. You know, and the trouble is though, because I'm getting two, you know, two meanings in this card, and so I wonder if there is something coming in that is also a slow moving and unstable thing. What this past thing was illusionary. It was never, from the other side, was never actually meant to happen. It was, you know, it was, I keep saying this, I keep making promises, but they never happen. They never actually, you know, they always get moved a little bit further away. Every time it gets close, it gets moved a little bit further away again. And so I'm feeling that energy quite strongly from here. But what I suspect, and I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I'm also seeing that actually that this is what you want. This is what you want. This is what is ultimately meant for you. Something that comes in is very stable, will move quite slowly, but is going to result in something that is much that you can trust. But the trouble is, it's all tied up in something where the words were said and there were no actions behind them, and so you don't trust it. You're struggling to trust it. And this is all to do with this protective barrier. It's, you know, I almost feel like I've seen all of this before, but you haven't. you haven't. What's coming in is different, but you're seeing it as the same. You're seeing it through those mistrustful eyes of yeah, and lots of promises were made and nothing was delivered on the back of it. Those promises were made to a purpose, but the purpose was not longevity. That's what the purpose was. I was told the purpose was, but it wasn't. Well, there is something coming in now that is going to deliver that longevity. Is going to be that celebratory yes moment. But they're saying put it down. Okay, I'm putting it down. Yeah, okay, they want that card there. But it's all tied up. It's all tied up with something that looks similar but didn't deliver. So this is almost this is a warning not to miss an opportunity, Capricorn. A very, very strong message. Do not miss this opportunity that is incoming. Because look, all of these three cards are all yellow. They're all very vivid. But this one in the context of this reading is not a good card. And so it's colouring your judgment about this. So what we have, okay, so if I can explain this, is we have this one. This is the bad version, which was over-promising and under-delivering. But what we're going into is almost under-promising and over-delivering. And what Spirit doesn't want you to do is to mix the two up and to see them both as the same thing. I hope this is making some sense. What's the advice, Spirit? What advice have you got? What's the advice for Capricorn? And I'm also being drawn back up to the Midas touch card, which again is yellow as well. So this is about the barrier. You know, you're trying to protect yourself, but you're going to protect yourself from the wrong thing. You're going to protect yourself from what is meant for you if you're not careful here. So what's the advice, Spirit? What's the advice, Spirit? Look at it from a different perspective. God, I love tarot. I don't think I need to say anything more than that, actually. That's card of Pisces. And I think we're in Pisces season now. Or have we just gone into Aries season? Can't remember. As I said, I'm no astrologer. But anyway, that's your message. That is your advice, is to look at it from a different perspective. These are not, the past is not what is coming towards you. It is not a repeat. So do not allow the barriers and the cynicism that you have built to stop you from taking up what looks like it's going to be a really beautiful offer and a very stable offer. Okay, Capricorn, I'm leaving it there. Enjoy this full moon eclipse in Libra. I hope that helped. I hope it made sense. I'm sorry, I always just ramble on for half an hour and hope that somebody gets it. But yeah, I hope that was helpful. If you did enjoy it, please do like, share, and subscribe if you're still with me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.